Welcome to this deep dive. Today, we're looking into something I think we all search for, really. Inner peace.
Absolutely. It feels more relevant than ever.
Our source material actually comes from a listener suggestion. It's an excerpt from an episode called The Real Secret to Inner Peace. The channel is USA Awakened. And, in a world that just feels so loud, so fast, the idea that inner peace isn't just a nice to have, but maybe essential, that really lands.
It does. And this source, they promise to go beyond the usual advice, meditation retreats, and so on to get at something deeper.
Right. Something about unlocking lasting peace. So our mission here is to really unpack what they're saying. What's their take on what peace even is? What stops us from finding it? And what's this real secret they talk about?
It's a compelling structure they lay out. They start with the what, then the why not, and finally the how.
Okay, let's dive in. How does this source actually define inner peace? Because they seem quite specific.
They are. They frame it, interestingly, not as escaping problems, not running away from life.
Okay, so not like hiding out somewhere.
No, exactly. It's more about facing life, but with a sense of calm clarity. That's the phrase they use.
Calm clarity.
Yeah, and they describe it as a kind of stillness in your heart, even if the world outside is, stormy or chaotic.
So it's internal, regardless of the external.
Precisely. And crucially, they stress it doesn't mean you're always happy or even always calm. That's not the goal.
Ah, okay. So it's not about achieving some permanent state of bliss.
Not at all. It's more about being anchored. That's the word they use. Think of like a boat in a rough sea.
Okay.
The storm's happening, the waves are crashing, but the anchor holds the boat steady. That anchor, that's the inner peace they're talking about.
I like that metaphor. It makes sense.
And they say the shift is moving from reacting, instantly, automatically to everything that happens.
Which we all do.
To responding with intention from that anchored place.
That reacting versus responding thing, that feels really key, doesn't it? Reacting feels so, impulsive, knee-jerk.
Driven by the moment.
Whereas responding, that implies a pause, right? A choice. Connecting to something deeper than just the surface noise. As you hear that, think about it. Which mode do you find yourself in more often? Reacting or responding?
It's a great question. And if peace is this internal anchor, this ability to respond calmly, well, where does it go wrong? Why do we lose it? The source gets into that next. They talk about the illusions, the traps we fall into.
Yes, the things we chase thinking they'll bring peace. This is where it gets really interesting. They list the usual suspects.
Pretty much. Money, career success, needing the right relationship, always looking for approval from others.
The external stuff.
Exactly. They draw a really firm line. Peace isn't found out there by getting those things. It's something you have to build within.
Which feels true, but it's so easy to forget, isn't it? We're sort of wired to think the next achievement will be the thing.
It is. It's a very human tendency.
Yeah.
And the source calls this chase the biggest illusion.
Okay, so what is that biggest illusion specifically?
It's the belief, and I think many of us hold this, consciously or not, I'll finally feel peaceful once I fix everything in my life.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay, that hits home. Peace as the reward at the end of the rainbow after you've sorted everything out.
Right. After you've solved all the problems, ticked all the boxes, smoothed out all the wrinkles.
But the source pushes back hard on that.
Immediately.
Yeah.
They just point out a fundamental truth.
Yeah.
Life is never perfectly fixed. It can't be. It's always changing, shifting, throwing new things at us.
Always something.
Always something. So if your peace depends on getting to some state of perfect external calm and order, well, they argue you'll never find it. You'll just be chasing a mirage forever.
That's quite a challenging thought. It completely undermines the idea that success or stability automatically equals peace. It actually suggests chasing those external fixes might be the very thing costing us our peace.
It really confronts that deep-seated belief, doesn't it? That we somehow have to earn peace by perfecting our outer world.
So if it's not out there and it's not a reward for fixing everything, what is the key, according to the source? What's a real secret they mention?
They're very direct. They boil it down to one single word.
Which is?
Acceptance.
Acceptance. Okay, just one word. That sounds simple, but also maybe complicated.
Well, yes. And they seem to anticipate that because they immediately clarify what they don't mean by it.
Right. Important distinction.
They're very clear. Acceptance is not about giving up. It's not settling for less or saying a bad situation is okay. It's not resignation.
Okay, so not passive resignation, What is it then? How do they define acceptance?
They define it as accepting the present moment exactly as it is.
Exactly as it is. Wow.
It means stopping that internal struggle, the fight against reality, right here, right now.
So just acknowledging what's happening without adding that layer of, I wish this wasn't happening or this shouldn't be.
That's the core of it.
Yeah.
And they suggest a really practical way to help make that shift internally. It involves changing the question you ask yourself in tough moments.
Yep.
Stop asking, why is this happening to me? Or why me?
Which is often our first reaction.
Totally. And instead start asking, what is this trying to teach me?
What is this trying to teach me? That really changes your stance, doesn't it? Why me feels like being a victim.
Exactly. Victimhood, unfairness.
But what is this teaching me?
Yeah.
That implies there's something to gain. A lesson, maybe. An opportunity for growth. It puts you back in a position of agency almost.
That's a great way to put it, agency. And psychologically, that shift can be huge. Think about it for yourself. The next time you face something difficult, how might asking, what is this trying to teach me? Actually change how you feel in that moment compared to why me?
Yeah, that's definitely something to reflect on.
Now, the source is realistic. They acknowledge that acceptance isn't like flipping a switch. You can't just decide, okay, I accept and be done.
Right. It sounds like a practice.
It is something that needs cultivation. And so they offer some very practical daily habits, things you can do to build that muscle of acceptance and, hopefully tap into that deeper peace more often.
Okay, good. They don't just leave us with the concept. They give actual tools. What are the key practices they recommend?
They focus on three main ones. First is daily stillness.
Okay. Like meditation.
Sort of, but maybe simpler. They suggest just 5 minutes a day, sit quietly, breathe, and just observe your thoughts and feelings. The key part, without judgment.
That without judgment bit, that feels absolutely critical for acceptance, doesn't it?
It's everything.
Because you're just being with whatever is there inside. Pleasant, unpleasant, it doesn't matter. You're not labeling it, not trying to fix it or push it away, just watching. That must train that non-resistance muscle.
That's exactly the idea. Training yourself to be present with your internal reality, just as it is. Okay, second practice, gratitude journaling.
Okay, I've heard of this one.
Simple idea. Each night, write down maybe 3 things you're genuinely thankful for. The source says gratitude anchors your heart.
Anchors your heart. How does gratitude do that, according to them? Or just how does that work?
Well, I think psychologically, when you consciously focus on what you appreciate, it shifts your attention, right? Away from maybe what you feel you lack or your fears or the things you can't control.
And towards what's actually good right now.
Exactly. Toward the positive things that already exist in your life. And that creates a feeling of, stability, contentment. It grounds you. Or, like they say, it anchors you.
That makes sense. It pulls your focus back from the swirl of worries into the present good.
Okay, and the third practice.
The third one is letting go of control.
Ooh, the big one.
Yeah, maybe the hardest for many of us. They even suggest using a mantra, something like, I release what I cannot control.
I release what I cannot control.
Yeah.
Simple, but powerful.
And they connect this directly to peace with a really interesting statement. Trust is the soil peace grows in. Trust is the soil peace grows in. Okay, unpack that a little. How does letting go of control build trust? And how does that lead to peace?
Well, if we connect it back, when you stop trying so hard to manage every single outcome, stop exhausting yourself trying to force things.
Which is impossible anyway.
Right. You start perhaps to build trust. Trust in, maybe trust in your own resilience, your ability to handle whatever comes up, or maybe even a broader trust in the process of life itself.
I see. So letting go reduces that anxious need for certainty.
Exactly. That willingness to navigate uncertainty without needing everything locked down. It lowers anxiety, it lowers resistance.
Yeah.
And those things, anxiety, resistance, they're huge blocks to peace.
So these 3 practices, the stillness, the gratitude, the letting go, they're like daily workouts for acceptance.
That's how they present it. Consistent work. Building that inner anchor, nurturing that soil of trust so peace has a chance to grow. They use a lovely analogy, actually.
Oh, yeah.
They say inner peace is like tending a garden. It's a daily practice. Small efforts, done consistently, you water it every day, and over time, you see the results.
I really like that garden analogy. It makes peace feel less like this massive, overwhelming goal you have to achieve, and more like something manageable, something you just cultivate day by day inside yourself.
Which ties perfectly into their concluding thoughts, really. They offer a lot of encouragement. They say, look, you don't need to fix everything today. Just take one small step towards peace right now.
Just one step. That feels doable.
And then they wrap it all up with this really quite profound idea, almost poetic. They say, peace is not something you find. It's something you remember.
Remember, not find. That's interesting. Why remember?
Because, according to this source, it was always within you, waiting for you to return to it.
Wow. Okay, that completely reframes the whole search, doesn't it?
It really does.
It means peace isn't some external thing you have to go out and acquire or some state you achieve through heroic effort. It's inherent part of who you are already.
That's the implication. Something you've just lost touch with, maybe because of all those illusions and the external chasing we talked about earlier.
So the journey isn't about seeking something new. It's about returning to something ancient, something already inside, coming home almost.
It's a powerful shift in perspective, I think. It makes peace feel less like a distant destination and more like, well, like your natural state, just kind of obscured by all the noise of life, and maybe our own internal resistance.
So putting it all together, what this source from USA Awakens seems to be offering is a framework. Redefine peace. It's an internal anchor for life's storms. Identify the traps, chasing externals that fix everything, myth. Discover the secret, acceptance of the present moment, and then cultivate it. Daily stillness, gratitude, letting go.
Yeah, that captures it well. It's a really strong argument for shifting your focus inward and using these simple, consistent practices to basically change your relationship with reality.
Okay, so we've taken a really deep dive into this source's view on inner peace. We've looked at their definition, the things they say steal our peace, that core idea of acceptance, and the practical steps they suggest.
And they make a really compelling case, I think, that peace isn't really about perfect conditions outside you. It's about a state you cultivate inside you, mainly by learning to be present with whatever is.
Yeah, and those specific practices, finding that daily stillness, actively looking for things to be grateful for, and consciously practicing letting go of control, they offer concrete ways to actually do that, to build that anchor they talk about.
And it all comes back to that beautiful, maybe challenging thought at the end. That peace isn't something we necessarily find by looking harder, but maybe something we just need to remember. Remember that it's already part of us.
Which leads us to a final thought for you, the listener, to maybe chew on. Building directly on that idea, if inner peace really is something you remember rather than find, what are the moments or maybe the situations in your own life where you feel the most disconnected from that? What might be covering up that sense of peace for you?